I'll be pausing periodically to answer some of those questions. But with all that being said, just a reminder that when you enter the room to make sure you keep yourself muted, we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you so much for taking some time to be with me this afternoon. And hopefully it'll be a good productive day, or 45 minutes or so, not an entire day. So let's jump into the presentation. And hopefully everybody now can see the presentation. Yes, my co-pilot. Okay, my co-pilot has frozen out. So hopefully you all can see this presentation, the best practices online and with screencasting. Some of our objectives for the day, really I embedded the idea of screencasting and kind of rules of thumb for online practice hold on, let me check the chat really quick. It's hard to multitask and meet. There we go. Okay, so we were able to see before that. And go back. I decided to mix them together because one of the tenets of online learning is to really strike a balance between synchronous forms of instruction, which is what we're doing today in a live webinar that you're attending, and asynchronous forms, which is more like what screencasting helps to achieve, and also what we're doing by recording this session and making it available for people to watch later. So since I'm using this term so frequently today, one of the other objectives will be to actually define what I mean when we're talking about screencasting, to discuss some of the advantages to using screencasts to supplement instruction, and to demo 2 different approaches to creating and sharing them with students or colleagues. You can't see my screen? It says they can. Just really quick, can everybody see this? You should be seeing something right now that says 7 tips for remote teaching. If you can just put it in the chat, if you can see it. People are saying no. Are people saying no in the chat, or are they saying yes in the chat?
No, they do not see your share.
Okay. Let me try and figure out what's going on.
You have to click the icon.
Stop sharing. Let me see if this works.
There you go.
All right, I think you should be seeing this now. It's actually something I'll be sharing this graphic with you because I'll be sharing this presentation with you after this session. So if it's kind of difficult for you to see now, you'll get to interact with it on your own time later. So this was something I actually found on Mindshift, which is a blog kind of run by KQED, and it was put up there by Larry Ferlazzo. Now, when I first saw this, I didn't actually notice that, and I was just like, yeah, I like all these tips, and then I was like, oh, I should Google that guy to make sure he's like not up to no good. And he is a teacher out of Sacramento who is a frequent contributor to Mindshift, the KQED blog. And he has a lot of years of experience in the classroom and with community organizing. And so this was adapted by a person who kind of made the notes look really pretty from things that Larry Ferlazzo had said before or talked about and discussed. And I really liked this because I was fortunate enough, my dad spent most of his career in education as well. And he was, by the time he retired out of the San Diego County Office of Ed, he was like the instructional technologist. So he dealt a lot with like ed tech kind of work. And I was lucky enough to have about like 7 years of our careers overlap before he retired. And he conducted online sessions. And one I was able to take on kind of the advantages of blended learning and online learning. And I really enjoyed the course. And this has a lot of tenets that resonate with things that I learned in that course. So first off, it talks about grading. And really with this, it says feedback, not grades. I would say feedback over grades. Grades still have a place, they have a time, but we know we've been kind of struggling to even discuss like what their role is. You know, districts all over the place are having this conversation right now. But one of the things that's really true when we go into remote teaching and learning is that feedback becomes so much more valuable, and actually feedback that's delivered fairly quickly. Usually the rule of thumb is, say you were able to have your students like respond to a discussion chat or thread on Google Classroom, or they were supposed to even just note something on a Padlet. Getting back to them, even with a just like nice job or like cool idea, within, they say 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours, really does help to boost engagement. And I know you have a lot of students in your classroom, you know, and that can be really daunting. But the quicker you get the feedback back when students are asked to contribute, the more it makes students feel excited to continue contributing. Second one is that social emotional learning becomes pretty important. And this statement right here, lead with love, not lessons. And I always laugh, and I was talking to Kristen Ashford, and I was like, I don't know, lead with love. Like love kind of seems like a very intense word for me sometimes. But I really like what this is essentially saying, which is just starting out the lesson by checking in with students and doing the kind of social work first before diving into the lesson. I was talking with Melissa Ambrose yesterday, and anytime I talk to Melissa Ambrose, I find myself quoting her for days afterwards, like she's like a great podcast that I just listened to or something. But she said, you know, everybody right now is in their amygdala brain, and that's the survival part of our brain. And that when we're there, it is so hard for us to be able to do any kind of critical reflection or, you know, all of those other things and executive functions that kind of lead us to being able to absorb more complex ideas and content that's involved in a lot of our classes. And so sometimes, you know, not teaching new content, but starting out at least the lesson with like, how are you? Or a check-in activity can kind of help to soothe that kind of amygdala response and allow students to kind of go into other parts where they can be more available to digest more critical reflection and content. So number 3 is really the whole catalyst to wanting to, you know, conduct a webinar on screencasting. Minimize synchronous online meetings as much as possible. The research in remote learning shows that asynchronous is usually a better way in this format for students to absorb information than jumping on the Zoom call. I know I've been talking to a lot of our colleagues throughout the district that kind of feel the Zoom drain by the end of the day, and I definitely get that. With all the meetings that we're having and everything. So allowing people to post content to digest at their own timetable is really important. Number 4, you know, no one size fits all. Modifications are needed, especially because of access. Another thing I'll be sharing with you in addition to this presentation and a recording of this webinar is Sanger Unified here in California created choice boards. And what was really neat about them, they're specifically for ELD and ALD, but they serve as a really great template for how you can sort of structure weekly lessons with choices. And what they really did that's neat is on the top, there's choices that are more tech involved, and the same kind of modified choices that are more low tech. And I think even though they were developed for EL in mind, it would be just a great blueprint or template for a lot of teachers to look at, to not only see what a choice board looks like, but how one can even be used that promotes less tech, you know, requirements. And that would really help a lot of students, I think, right now, giving that flexibility. Trying to prioritize having those individual conversations, office hours, video chat if possible. We don't have a lot of time structured into our current structure for that, but even with the time you have, maybe trying to split it up into groups is shown to be more effective in smaller things when you are doing synchronous instructions. Keeping it simple. And this one, I want to share a new term that was very new to me, and that is called dog fooding, which is a very provocative name. But dog fooding is the idea that it comes from the software world. And it's that after an app or a piece of software is developed, the people who developed it will actually install it on their devices, their computer, their cell phone, and play around with it even before it goes into beta testing. And it's kind of like sampling your own product, essentially. And so I would really recommend that, knowing that you're not going to be there to be that guiding presence to a lot of your students when they are digesting some of your directions and information, that it's not even so much about keeping it simple. Like right here, it says 2 to 3 sentences max, but that might not be enough. I think what, helps to determine how much directions is too much directions, and knowing how to strike that balance, would be to try dog fooding. Try out following your own instructions, just even really quickly, to see if they make sense. Any of you who have been through constructing meaning with Miss Ashford and myself, or with Scott, the man from EL Achieve, know that that's a big part of the task analysis, is that we write like a sample student response. And that's really to make sure that our expectations are kind of aligning and that our directions are clear. And lastly, just offering grace. And I love that this graphic included with colleagues, with students, with parents, and with yourself. None of us were prepared to do this. None of us, were 100% ready. March 13th came and went so quickly, and here we are. And so just having grace to ourselves, to everybody around us. I even like the example that they have right here, the deadlines being aspirational versus in stone, and just kind of checking in and adjusting as much as we need. I know we've talked about how we have to live with so much ambiguity right now, and that can be really frustrating as individuals and professionals that are more used to getting to plan, getting to align everything. But it is what it is for right now. So I feel like this is a relatively good time to pause and ask if there are any questions in the chat so far.
Not yet.
Okay, so I just want to set up that framing as, again, one of the main reasons why we're taking a look at screencasting is to really look at number 3, minimizing those synchronous online meetings. So when we say screencasting is a way to promote more asynchronous happening at any time during the day, what do we mean by screencasting? So screencasting is when you record or transmit a video of information displayed on the screen of a computer or a mobile device, typically with accompanying audio. And so that's what I've been making kind of for the district when I go over briefly, like a Google Classroom overview, or Miss Ashford's made one on Edpuzzle. Miss Rubin's made the video on connecting Google Classroom with Synergy and getting that to sync. Those were all done via screencasting. And screencasts can be made of just the computer screen, or of a screen and a person's image, like having them in the corner, their face, as it's being recorded by the webcam. So what kind of tools can help you to screencast? So I want to talk about these 3 because I think they're the major 3, and I want to give kind of a caveat to each. So there's Screencast-O-Matic. This is the first one that I was introduced to. It's kind of, it's very basic. It gets the job done. It's my current favorite because their free version is not only very easy to use, but it also allows you to record a video for up to 15 minutes for free without any kind of account. And I will tell you, when I upload the screencast videos to YouTube, YouTube will actually show me the analytics for watch time. People rarely get past the first 5 minutes of a video. If the most that, videos will be watched is often like 10 minutes. So when you really do start talking about getting into 15 minutes or anything beyond that, your viewership and attention rate just kind of goes down. That being said, there's still always, you know, for your lessons, things that are just going to take more time because they need more time than 15 minutes. And students, one of the beauty parts about having an asynchronous environment is that students can chunk up that video for themselves. So maybe they start out watching the first 10 minutes and then they take a break, they get lunch, they come back to it, they, you know, sit there for another 10 minutes. And so for that, I tend to use Google Meet. And I'm going to demo how to use this, but essentially just like we're recording this meeting right now, and you can see my screen and you can see, you know, the people in the chat, you can record that being alone and share your screen and you being the only participant. And the great part about doing that is that there's no time limit. Finally, there's Screencastify. And I very much like Screencastify because it is an extension that you can get from Google Chrome. So it's very easy to use. It's just a button you hit. When you're done recording the video, it automatically creates a folder in your Google Drive that, you know, houses all the videos. So it's very well organized. But the thing I don't like about Screencastify is that the free version only allows you to record for 5 minutes. So womp womp. It's nice if you can say messages in 5 minutes. It's kind of a little hard to, you know, always find a message that can only be said in 5 minutes. So I'm putting it up there because I think it's one that's talked about a lot and it's not a bad product, but it's just not very useful in the free version anymore. Their free version used to be longer. It used to be, I think, 10 minutes, but it's 5 minutes now. So before I go any further with this right now, I'm going to pause again. Any questions in the chat? All right. Moving along. Okay.
There's one. Is there a screencast feature available with Nearpod?
Not that I know of. I can look into that. So one of the things that is nice about recording in Google Meet is that it also automatically gives you a transcript of the chat. So I will highlight that and see if I'm wrong, but I don't know that Nearpod has its own specific one, but I could be wrong. All right. So since I kind of think that there's no point right now in showing you Screencastify because of its limitations, we're really going to dive a little bit deeper into just Screencast-O-Matic and Google Meet today. So those are going to be the two that we demo really quickly. So again, I have a note on this slide about just some of the limitations and advantages of each. But I think right now I'm just going to take you through actually using it. So we're going to start out with Screencast-O-Matic. Again, we can only record for 15 minutes, but we do have the ability to record the screen, just the webcam, or the webcam and the screen. Another thing is you can download the video file after you're done making the video. It'll give you the option to either download the file and you can do what you will with that file, or to upload to YouTube automatically. It's embedded right in there. So let's take a look at the program and show you what I mean by that. So I have Screencast-O-Matic up. I'm not sure if you can see this. Can you see Screencast-O-Matic now? Okay, good. What's really nice about it too is you'll see there's a login, sign up, it's free. You don't have to do all that though. If you come, this is the landing page for Screencast-O-Matic, and you can just click start recording for free. And it'll take you here. It'll want you to upgrade, but you say, nah, just launch the free recorder. And it might take a second to load. I have used this before, so I can't remember now if I was initially asked to download something. So maybe you will have to, but now it just asks me, can I open this? Is it safe? And I say, yes, it's safe. Go ahead and open this up. And so it might take a minute to launch. But once it does launch, you'll notice not too much changes about my screen. It's very subtle, actually. Or way too subtle because it's on the wrong. I'm working off of two screens, and for some reason it just launched on my other screen. Let's see if I can fix this. Can you see that? You can't see the little box,
no,
right?
It just shows your window, the browser.
Okay, let me see what's going on here. Start presenting. Present now. A window. Can you see it now? Can you see the little square? You can't see the square. Why? That's so weird. Okay, let's see if I can do that again. Launch free recorder.
There are a couple questions there.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure this out because, of course, I practiced this all yesterday, but on a different device. And so now I'm on my computer at work with 2 screens, and for some reason, the recorder is only showing up on one of my screens and not the other one. So I'm trying to troubleshoot and figure out why that might be. And in the meantime, I can take some questions.
Does recording in Zoom work?
Recording in Zoom does work, and it will follow almost a very similar thing as Meet. Why I'm showing you Meet right now instead of Zoom is that I personally, if I'm going to use it for screencasting purposes, I would prefer to use Meet because, and you'll see when we demo it in a second, it's very easy. It emails you the video file as soon as it's done kind of decompressing. And so it even creates a folder already in Google Drive where the video file lives. I just find it a little bit easier. With Zoom, it's the exact same thing. You just have to download the video file and upload it to Google Drive yourself. Very easy. I can make a screencast on how to record with Zoom instead, but I do want to highlight Google Meet for this particular session just because I like how their setup is a little bit better.
There's a response on Nearpod. Nearpod allows you to put your videos on YouTube and the students can play them from there.
Right. So yeah, you can definitely put your screencast onto Nearpod. I thought the question was, does Nearpod do screencasting? And that's what I'm just not sure of right now.
Another question. Are these options just for recording the actual screencasting and then the videos all have to be uploaded to YouTube?
The videos don't have to be uploaded to YouTube. They can be uploaded to YouTube. I would love to highlight that with this, with demoing Screencast-O-Matic, but I am wondering if, you still can't see this recorder, Jose? Okay, let me try one last thing and then I'm gonna cry and we'll move on to Google Meet. I won't really cry, that'll be awkward. The whole thing here, so I'm gonna stop presenting. Present now, a window, screen recorder. Can you see it now? All right, so while I'm figuring out why this hates me, we're going to move on to Google Meet instead of Screencast-O-Matic because I just can't figure out why it won't show it to you in this version. And so what I'm going to do here to do this particular thing is I'm going to actually present my entire screen, and I'm going to be presenting screen 2, share. And I'm actually, while we're in this Meet, going to open a different Meet. So I'm just going to go into Meet. I'm going to say join or start a different meeting, and we're going to just call this test meeting and hit continue. And so it's just going to be me in this meeting, but I'm going to join now. And it's using my other camera, so I'm going to be kind of in a profile here. But if I hang out here with Google Meet, it'll record me. But if I start presenting my screen, so say that I'm going to present just a window. The window I'm going to present is going to be this one. Go ahead and share. Let's just go over to Refining the Impact Cycle. It was a coaching article I was reading some time ago, and say I want to start recording this. And so I'm going to go back into the Meet that I just created where I'm presenting, and I'm going to go down to the very, very bottom here where it says more options. It's got these 3 vertical dots. It almost looks like a black and white stoplight. And when I click this, the very, very top button is going to say record the meeting. And so it's going to give me a consent message here. I can accept. And then it says recording will start soon. You can see that it might take a second for it to load, but as soon as that little box is in red, you are now recording. So it's recording my voice, it's recording my screen, And with Google Meet, it's actually even recording a very small version of this webcam as well. So you will be able to see yourself in it. From what I can see, there's no way to just record your screen. You will still be, I mean, you can always turn off your camera. So if you don't actually want to be in the video yourself, but it will have a little window for who's talking, and then it'll also have a recording of the screen. And so you can talk, it'll capture the audio. You can be the only one in here. I don't have any other presenters. And then whenever I'm done saying all of my information, I come over here, I click the three dots again, and that the same way I started the recording, I'm also going to stop the recording. So I'm gonna hit stop recording right now and confirm, and it gives me a little pop-up saying this recording is going to be saved in Lori Robinson's Google Drive, which is awesome. It also, like I said, sends you an email of this. So I want to really quick take you to my email and show you. I did this not that long ago with Miss Rubin. She was my guinea pig, helping me figure this out. This is the email I got. The reason that I already did this and wanted to show it to you this way is just a warning. The email sometimes takes some time. It's depending on how long your recording is. With our recording, the demo recording I just did being so short, it might, email me within 5 minutes. If I was to record, say, an hour, like an entire session, it can take a while for that recording to get processed and then emailed to you. But when it gets emailed to you and you have it in your drive as well, you'll have it in a file just like this. So let's actually watch this video just for the first seconds. This is what it looks like. And so you can see I'm sharing my screen, and then I'm also over here in a little corner. Now say that I wanted to use this video and I wanted to post it to my Google Classroom because my students need to access this video. You have two choices. You could take this video file exactly as it is and upload it to YouTube. Just a note on that, educator accounts do not allow YouTube accounts. I think it's very dumb and it's frustrating, but your @jeffersonunion.net account cannot make a YouTube channel. It's something that Google has, put in place. We can't override it. So if you are uploading to YouTube, you will have to use a personal email account, ideally like at gmail.com account to do so. But if that makes you uncomfortable for whatever reason, or you just don't want to deal with the hassle of creating a YouTube account, you can actually just upload straight to Google Classroom. So I'm going to go into my classroom and I'm going to select my professional development one that I try things out. And I can just go right through the stream and say, share something with my class. I'm going to add, I'm going to get this file from my Google Drive. And you'll notice since I just recently clicked the video, it's right here. I'm going to say add. If it was in my drive, I can also go through my drive and look at my folders and notice that it even creates a folder for me that I can't find right now because I'm looking for it in the moment. It's a folder that says Meet Recordings, and you are able to find everything in there. See, Screencastify makes those folders for you too. It's really nice. But I could search. It's in the, oh, I'm sitting there searching for it and it's the one that's the most obvious. Yeah, Meet Recordings, and I could find it in here as well if that's how I wanted to, but I select that, I say add, I can say something about it, like here's our class session, and then I can post, and now after it posts, students can click on this and it'll take them to a little place for them to hit play and view that video. So you don't need to post to YouTube at all to create that. What's nice about, I guess the advantage, if I was to say, of uploading to YouTube is that there's a way when you're creating these posts that you can embed a video into it. So right here, you'll notice that when I'm able to add all of these features, it says Google Drive, a link, a file, or you even have just YouTube right here. When you click this, You can search, or you can put in a URL that you get for your own YouTube video. And then what's neat about it is that right now, if I click this video, it kind of took me over to that other screen to watch it. If I post it on YouTube, it'll actually show like a whole picture preview of the video, and students can hit play right from within Google Classroom. So if you decide to yourself that it's really not that important that they're able to do that, then YouTube can be an unnecessary step. I know I was talking with Lisa that the other reason she likes to upload it to YouTube before putting it on Google Classroom is that when you own the YouTube account, it'll actually tell you how many people have viewed your video and how long they watched it for. And it doesn't tell you who, but it at least gives you a sense of, okay, I know I was trying to reach 30 students with this, but only 10 students have watched and they only watched half the time. Just being able to do stuff with that information. So that's the main overview of how you would use Meet to create a screencast. So before I try and get Screencast-O-Matic working again, oh, and by the way, I just got the email of that recording that I made in Meet. So that was, about a 2-minute video, and it took about, less than 10 minutes for it to email it to me. So, the shorter the video, the quicker the processing time, but that's pretty much it with it. What questions are coming up, Jose?
Comments. Zoom recording works and exports as a video and audio file. Question about Screencast-O-Matic. Does Screencast-O-Matic offer standard video ratios like 16:9 widescreen?
Yes.
Probably.
Oh, wait, I don't know if they were able to hear you. Does Screencast-O-Matic offer standard video ratios? And I believe it does. I'm trying to get us into it so I can show you what you have available to you. Let me try and be working on that while.
A couple more comments. Is there a chance that the recording of this meeting is preventing us from seeing other screencasting options on the computer? There's a comment. Whoop, whoop, shout out to the impact cycle.
Okay.
Is there a way to record a hands-on demo and not just my face/screen? I believe this was during the Google Meet presentation. And there's a couple comments mentioning that they do have their YouTube channels using Jefferson Union. But I guess Ms. Ashford Kristen brought up that I think some people were grandfathered in for those channels. Some teachers seem to have them, some others don't.
So with teachers having the access to what were we just saying? Oh, the YouTube channel. It's possible they were grandfathered in. It's also possible I have a YouTube account through jeffersonunion.net where I can go and watch videos. I could comment on videos. It just won't let me post a video. If you can post a video, I'm jealous. I wish I could have that work out, but I know that people have asked me about this right before, and Jake sent me information that it's from Google's own policy that we're not allowed to have. What's that?
Screencast showing.
Screencast showing now. Lord knows why, but we're not gonna. It's a blessing. So you hopefully can all see this now. When I launched Screencast-O-Matic, it just really is this box here is mostly what comes up when you're using Screencast-O-Matic. But this box has most of the important features. So first, for somebody who talked about the ratios, this is where you can kind of talk about the size and the different sizes that you're able to see. This is also where you're able to see how much of a recording you would like to do. So if you want to do your full screen, if you just want to have an active window, and if you want that active window to be significantly smaller, you'll notice that doing that brings up some of these little marks that you can actually now move around. If I can hit it. Oh, there we go. So I can move this around and use it to capture exactly what I want to. I can actually just come to the little carrots in the corner here, and I can make that a little bit bigger, smaller, whatever I would like. It also gives me a sense of what my voice is being captured. If you're not seeing any green show up, then you're not talking loud enough, so it gives you a sense of that. Here you can actually have the feature to capture computer audio. So that would be like if I wanted to play a YouTube video during my screencast, I would want to change this to capture computer audio. However, it's not available in this free version of the recording. It's a paid feature. I would recommend using Google Meet instead if you'd like to do something like that and have it capture audio that way. Another thing that it offers you is this would be the webcam, and it will, start capturing a person or doing both. So this would be where it would be looking at the screen and also have somebody in the corner right here. And you can, and so it would be using this particular, So I had to tell it which webcam to use, but you can see that now there's a little me in the corner and then whatever my screen would be capturing. So let me see if I can move that over here. So if I wanted it to just show this, or I could go back to my settings. So I can always get my settings back by clicking the little wheel here. It also lets me know that I have the 15-minute record time. And then I think that's most of it. The preferences through here, you can look. There's a hotkey to be able to pause. A lot of these are not features you really need. You have the most things just through the control panel there. So the last important thing to take a look at is obviously the big red record button. And so I'm going to press that now so you can see what it does. What I really appreciate about Screencast-O-Matic is that it does this. It gives you a countdown. So you know when to actually start talking. There's a lot of screencasts that I've made in the past where when I go back to watch the video, I realize it cuts off my first sentence, part of my sentence, because I start talking too soon before the recording's actually happening. So I like and appreciate that. I am just going to record just a little bit more, just about 25 seconds. And then I am going to hit pause. And I can actually continue recording after a pause. So if I want to change something on my screen before I, start recording more, I can say, no, I already made a, mistake. So I can delete everything and start over, or I can say, nope, I'm done. When I'm done, it gives me the option. What do you want to do next? We don't have time today to go into the editing of the video. I would really recommend, since you're trying to kind of keep these videos short anyway, to just re-record using cuts and blurs and zooms. We just don't have the time to go into all of that today. What I really want to show you is how you would save and upload. So I'm going to click Save and Upload for right now. And it's going to bring up a screen that looks like this. Can you see this? Okay. And it's giving me a few options. It's saying I can save this as a video file. I can upload it to Screencast-O-Matic. I don't find that to be too helpful. Or I can upload to YouTube. So this is one thing that I find to be kind of neat about Screencast-O-Matic, is that it does integrate with YouTube if that's what you would like to do. So if you would not like to, if you didn't like the option of YouTube, just like with Google Meet, I can now just save this as a file on my computer, and I can upload that file to Google Classroom the same way I did with Google Meet. The only thing that Screencast-O-Matic isn't giving me that Google Meet did was it didn't put it in a special folder immediately. And so that's about the only con. I like this because I do end up putting most of my screencasts on YouTube, and I like that this is just integrated. I don't have to go to YouTube and upload the video file. I can just upload it directly. So I'm going to show you what it would look like if I did that. So when I click upload to YouTube, now I've done this before. So this already has my account and all of my account features listed in it. But when you do this for the first time, it'll actually ask you to link your account. And so you'll click on the account, and you'll have to go through and see. I could do this right now. If I wanted to add a different account, I would hit add account. And essentially, you're just going to give your login credentials. So I gave the email and the password that I used to log into my YouTube account. But I did it through Screencast-O-Matic so that they're linked. I can actually edit the title of the video, and that will be then the title that's uploaded to YouTube. And then I can add a description, add a tag, the privacy settings. So I usually, when I first upload a YouTube video, I always upload it to actually be private or unlisted. And that's so that I can kind of control what it looks like and who can see it before I make it public and able to have everybody see. Just so you know, private means nobody can see it but you. Unlisted means only people with the link. If you provide the YouTube link can see it. Somebody can't find it just by searching it. I have the category in education. And then finally, this is kind of a neat feature. You use your cursor a lot when you're explaining things during a screencast, and you'll notice that you can actually see this in the video preview. If you choose to highlight your cursor, it'll actually put a yellow circle around your cursor so that if you're gesturing to something on your screen with your cursor, it's a little easier to find where it is. So it makes directions just a little easier. If you don't want that, you can select no cursor, and then you can just have your normal cursor if you would like. And then I'm going to hit publish. And when I hit publish, it's going to take some time to upload and do that, but then I am going to have it just on YouTube. It usually takes YouTube a moment to process the video as well, but when it is done, I'll have that link and I can use it to embed into Google Classroom or wherever else I would like it to go. See, this was a very short video file, so it has all of this. I can actually, you know, play around with some of these features, copy the link, but for right now, I'm just going to say done. So again, just kind of going back then to, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and go back to presenting. This one right here. Oh no, here. Go back to my presentation. So again, just those were some of the pros and cons, the really quick basics of how you can upload it and how you can share it. I promised you that I wouldn't take longer than 45 minutes, and I'm getting very close to that, but I want to make sure that I'm also getting some questions before we close out for today.
One person lost audio around 12:37, but everyone else was saying they didn't have any audio issues. But
okay, and there was a recording. I'm still recording this session, so if you did lose audio or connection, you should be able to catch what you missed in the recording. I'm hoping to have that shared out with everybody tomorrow.
One feature that was also brought up in that particular comment was that they turned on captions to compensate.
Oh, yes. So the person who lost audio turned on captions. You might notice that captions is available on the very bottom bar where you can mute yourself and leave the meeting and all of that. And I will say that's another advantage to Google Meet over Zoom is that Zoom requires a third-party app that you have to pay for to do closed captioning. Google Meet does it. It's just embedded right into Google Meet, and it's actually pretty accurate. Me and Kristen played around with it, and I will say it even actually bleeps out your curses. Not that I curse that often, but it does. It was all Kristen. The last thing I was going to say about Google Meet, I forgot. Oh, Zoom, I feel like I'm like acting like I'm a salesperson for Google Meet right now. I'm really not. I love Zoom. One of the Zoom features that I love the best that Google Meet doesn't have is breakout rooms. I just thought I should say that. But I do like the way it records meetings better.
Well, I don't know if you have any more questions, but it looks like everyone's kind of having fun on the chat. So.
All right.
Just someone said, I guess just Google Meet sometimes occasionally breaks up with audio, but not too bad. Thanks, this is very informative. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. And look at that, it's exactly 12:45. So I'm getting you out on time. Have a great rest of your day. And yeah, thanks for coming. Goodbye. I know. People want to leave, they can leave. I don't know if Paul Orth is still here, but you don't have as many controls as you do in Zoom. You can't mute everybody. You have to ask people to mute themselves. So just that last question, if you're not still here to get that, I'll email you about it later. That's another advantage over Zoom. Like I said, it's like neither of them are perfect. They both suck in different ways and are both great in different ways. All right, I'm going to stop recording.